Is this a brilliant comic? Well, no, it's pulp. But it's entertaining pulp, like pulp ought to be. Hi, I'm Annie, and it is Thursday. It is Eurocomic Thursday. Every Thursday I talk about a European comic or graphic novel. And this time I'm talking about Planet of the Apes and Dracula Lives, issue 89 from 1976. Now, I do know that this comic has comics in it, stories in it from Marvel America, but it was published in the UK. So I consider this to be a fair game for Eurocomic Thursday. And why am I talking about this pulpy comic? Well, August is almost upon us, and this means it is almost GarbAugust time. And GarbAugust is a fun pulp related and pulp fiction and non-fiction reading event hosted by Criminali, and I am honored to be one of the many co-hosts in this fun reading event where we celebrate all kinds of pulp. So we also celebrate pulp comics. So that's why I'm talking about a pulp comic, and I hope you will throw in some pulp comics in August as well. This issue starts off with a story of Planet of the Apes, and it is written by Doug Moore, and the artwork is by Mike Ploak. Now, I'm not a Planet of the Apes expert, I must admit. This is the first Planet of the Apes comic I have read so far, and I've only watched one Planet of the Apes film. So I had a little bit of the idea I was missing something of the background story of this comic. But anyway, in this story, in this short story, Alex and Malaguena are being burned at the stake. And although they are in deep trouble, I appreciate the fact that Alex keeps his head cool and keeps his spirit up. It is not a spoiler that they are being rescued, but what I do not understand is that they have to be rescued by this guy in some sort of Ku Klux Klan outfit. Can somebody explain it to me? Am I missing something out here? Do let me know. Anyway, I do like some other details in this story I do like, and that is the fact that there is a reference to Orson Welles' radio play War of the Worlds. I think he did that in the 1930s. I think 1938, but I could be wrong. In the 1930s anyway. Further, I think the artwork by Mike Ploak is really, really excellent. The lines flow off the page. I think this is excellently done. But I think this would have been even better if this was a pure black and white comic, and now it has also gray colors in it, but I think it would have been better if it were pure black and white and not these gray tones in it. Then we have Count Dracula, Lord of the Undead. A final battle waged, and in this story, Dracula fights Dr. Sun as Vampire Hunter Blade has other problems he has to deal with. The story is by Mark Wolfman, and I liked it very much. Although I did again had the feeling I missed something of the background of the story. Maybe the universe where the story is set in. I just missed something because I had never heard of Dr. Sun, and I had never heard of Vampire Hunter Blade, so maybe I'm missing something in the story here. But I found it really entertaining, and it had a roaring, ripping climax. Well, a climax, a cliffhanger was it, because this is a to be continued story. So I like that very much. And then the drawings are by Gene Colan, and I found them very dynamic. I like that very much. And the inking is done by Tom Palmer, and I found that also to be highly entertaining and very excellently done. Then we have Man Thing, a clear crystal ending. And it's about a monster and a religious fanatic. Well, I'm all for a monster, a well drawn monster, a fun monster. It is this Man Thing in this story. And I'm not too keen on religious fanatics. So that was also a very excellent element in this story I found. Uh, the story is by Steve Gerber, and the drawings are by Val Meyerink, and the inking is done by Jack Abel. I liked the way the monster was drawn. I found that just excellent. And some of the faces are well drawn also, I found. But the bodies, some aren't really anatomically correct. But maybe I'm nitpicking here a bit. But sometimes I get the feeling that if you want to make a realistic comic, make it as realistic as possible. But like, maybe I'm nitpicking a bit. It wasn't badly done or anything. And the panels, even when the action was going on, they seem to me to be a little bit of static. It isn't. There isn't much dynamic going on in the shot choices and the framing of the shots and the camera angles. So I found that to be a little bit less also. But the story was excellent, I found. The last story is Khazar with Zabu the Saber-Tooth, and the story is A Evil Reigns, and that is written by Jerry Conway, and the penciling and the layout are done by the legendary John Buscema. And the penciling and layouts are done by I've already said it. Look at your notes, Annie. Anyway, Bob McLeod and Joe Rubenstein did the finished art, and the inking is done by John McLeod, and Klaus Jensen and Neil Adams did some of the faces and figures. Again, I had the idea that I missed something of the story because I wasn't acquainted with the universe which this story is set in. But was this a problem? No, the story was very well. I could follow the story. I did understand what the story was about, and I found the story entertaining anyway. But the artwork, I must admit, isn't my favorite. Some of the drawings were just excellent, I must admit, but there were drawings of which I think they were a bit anatomically incorrect, but again, maybe I'm nitpicking a bit, but like in this drawing, the mouth is way too wide. Yeah, but I don't think, I know a lot of you love John Buscema, and I didn't think this was his fault at all, because he did the rough sketchings and not so much the details, and this is just a detail in the illustrations. And I do like the dynamic way the illustrations are being depicted. The choice of camera angles I find just excellent, and the short cutouts, and yeah, I found that just excellent. In this issue there is also the Apes forum, and this is where letters that were sent to the magazine is being printed, and I always find this a very interesting source of information. Like this fellow Peter Foreman, who has written a letter asking why the UK version censors the American comics. And this is not like they are censoring nudity or anything like that. No, it's it's putting a clothes on a woman wearing a bikini in the American version and is fully clothed in the UK version. Well, the explanation of the publishers to that is that the British readers of this comic are much younger than the American readers of the same comic. So, and they explain it like they have some sort of responsibility. I just find it silly. This was the 1970s. So I think, yeah, the kids back in the 1970s, they were used to more. They were used at least to women in bikinis, because they went to the beach and saw women in bikinis in real life. So why cover them up with fully clothed people? But anyway, this is my pulp recommendation. If you want to participate in GarbAugust, please do pick up this comic. It is free and available on the American Archive. I'll put a link to it in the description box below, because well, even if you don't want to participate in GarbAugust, this is a fun comic, and there are more comics, Planet of the Ape comics, you can find on the American Archive. So as always, this is my recommendation, and keep those pulp juices flowing. Hope to see you in the next video.